Welcome to Best Most, where we ask the question, what is the best or what is the most? Before we record the show, we ask our online community a question chosen by our guests. Then the guests and I discuss the community answers and our own. If you would like to join the community, add best.most.pod on Instagram. I'll post the questions ahead of time there. So add and join the conversation. Let's get into it. Our guest today is David Antonio Garcia, creator of Dagger Creative. He's a musician, music producer, engineer, and local music event organizer. Welcome, David.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So, David and I have known each other for a good while. As we kind of talked about in the last episode, he is a very positive force in like the local music scene. I would say he is very much been that for me, at least as a musician. Um, I'm really excited that you're here, David. Just so you know, audience, our guest actually chooses the question. Our question today is, what is the most influential band of the early 2000s? Why did you choose that, David?
It's because I actually thought about this exact question a couple weeks ago too, if not a couple months ago, because I was really into this one band and they just really got me thinking like, wow, a lot of modern bands do sound like this band.
Oh, cool.
hmm
So we're gonna get into David's answer a little later. I think you have some answers from your community, right?
Yes, I do. I think I got like two or three answers. Let's see. So I thought this was a fantastic question too, and it also made me have a realization too, which I'll get into after. But for the most influential band of the early 2000s, my friend had said "At the Drive-In,"
Oh,
which I thought was a fantastic answer because, in their words, they had said one would say it was the nexus of the Mars Volta because after the Mars Volta initial breakup slash hiatus, so many bands just went after their progressive experimental sonic nature. Um, and I completely agree. Like that band in particular of At the Drive-In was just full of just fantastic musicians and, the offshoots of like the Mars Volta or Sparta, like really great bands that have influenced a lot of modern day, just like progressive experimental rock in the hardcore scene, post hardcore scene. And yeah, a lot of it just stems from how, Cedric performs on stage or how, people or the bandmates have just like played their instruments too or recorded their music. So I definitely think that's a great answer.
yeah. Also, at the drive-in just has so much bite,
Mhm.
um, so much bite. But also, it's like there's a lot of bands that kind of get forgotten because they might be a little too out there. And I think at the drive-in had this like perfect balance of like accessible, but just so much fucking like force.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And something that answer actually made me think about was they are probably the most influential band within that genre space because my answer I think is just like a completely different genre, and I had even asked my roommate too what they thought was like the influential band, and they had said Converge because my bandmate is definitely more into that hardcore grindcore scene, and Converge, when they had released their album Jane Doe in 2001, like that shaped the way that hardcore, mincecore, all that just like really progressed into what it is now.
I gotta check it out. I'll put it on my list.
Yeah, yeah. Their album Jane Doe is just a really brutal listen sonically. Like it is not for the faint of heart. Like it definitely was really hard for me to even try to like enjoy it
hmm
properly when I first heard it like 5 years ago maybe. But I just got back into it maybe last year, and it was definitely like way up my alley now. So I definitely think it's kind of dependent on where your head space is at once you
Yeah.
actually listen to the music. It's just such an attack on your ears sonically, so, get ready for that.
For the audience, David has introduced me to so much music within the short amount of time that we've known each other. Like I remember that you had mentioned the microphones,
Mhm, yeah.
and I had never heard of the microphones. Now I love the microphones. Um, and like there's another one, I think Destroyer.
Yeah.
Destroyer is another one that you kind of introduced me to, and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, and that it's just so funny because, I'm not even, like, a huge fan of those bands either. It was just kind of more of a, maybe not passive, but, like, kind of just a very casual comment that I was like, "Hey, check them out."
Yeah.
Um, and I'm glad that, people just love that. And I guess I have a tendency to do that too because I even, like, mentioned in passing to a friend I met in college, like, "Hey, check out Kevin Morby."
Mhm.
And it,
Pretty
like,
good too.
completely flipped their life, like, they became instantly obsessed with Kevin Morby. I'm like, "Jesus Christ, I'm sorry."
Uh, like to me, the microphones when you kind of put them out there for me, I was like, listen to them like, oh my god, I was going through something really hard at that time too, and listening to I think the Glow Part 2, I
Mhm,
was like, gosh damn, this song is like killing me,
mhm.
and I had that song on repeat for a few months. Um, but yeah, like it's pretty cool how different songs can really kind of like hit a spot in different ways.
Yeah, and I'm glad that, I could at least be so, um, into a lot of different kinds of music that I could thankfully have, like, a pretty easy conversation with just about anyone I can talk to with music and, kinda connect with people on something related to whatever they might like based off, what I probably know too.
Cool, cool.
Mhm. And then one more answer that I just wanted to share too that I thought was interesting was my friend had said Weezer, Weezer for an early 2000s band. Though, in my opinion, I think more of their impact was actually in the late 90s.
Hmm.
But I could definitely see how it kind of led to like how some people got into like heavier guitar tones in rock, especially in the early 2000s. At least in the mainstream, because like we're saying with at the drive-in, like they're a very visceral sound, but um, definitely Weezer is just more of like the popular band, of course,
For
and just
sure.
the heavier guitar tones throughout, like I don't know, Hash Pipe, for example, or I guess Beverly Hills. I like, yeah, they're heavier tones, but they're not heavy songs.
Oh yeah, and like this because I had to think about the question itself too, and I will go into a little bit more when I show you my pick or go through my pick. Um, the it's kind of a tricky question because it could be a band that came out earlier, but their influence was around the 2000s,
Yes,
the early
exactly.
2000s, right?
Exactly. That's also what my roommate and I were talking about because Converge, for example, started in the 90s, but their popularity grew because of Jane Doe, released in 2001. Or even we were also talking about how Leftover Crack, uh, if I remember correctly, my roommate was explaining to me that they had started as Choking Victim kind of in the 80s and 90s, and then once that band stopped, they grew into Leftover Crack, um, but just kind of their actual, like, impact was more in the 2000s.
Gosh, these names,
Yeah, right?
leftover crack,
Yep,
choking victims.
yep. Yeah, I just love band names. It's just a
Yeah.
fantastic, way of just having fun with it.
It's kinda like that whole, like, idea of, like, you just hear something that rings,
Mhm,
you're like, "Shoehorn Manifesto." You're like, "Oh,
mhm.
shit, that's gonna be a band name right there."
Yeah, straight up. I mean, that's how a lot of things are,
Yeah.
or even like, Childish Gambino, he got his, name because
Oh, yeah.
of a Wu-Tang generator online.
Yeah, have you ever tried it?
I think I did once, I don't remember my name, but
Me
yeah, it
neither.
was something like that.
Yeah, I tried mine too, I was like, "Oh, damn, that actually is a pretty good band name."
Yep, mhm,
So let's see, I have a few community answers, for what is the most influential band of the early 2000s. The first one is Eddie, my brother, he, chose The Strokes. The reason is the album Is This It? Was great from the beginning to the end. Also Linkin Park for obvious reasons. Also The Killers. Reason we could listen to that album Hot Fuzz in the car for months, front to back, and it always puts us in a good mood.
mhm.
I think the Strokes is like a fairly good and
Mhm.
obvious band, for that question too. I think they had made a lasting impact. Rosa chose The Killers, Veronica chose Radiohead, Guaponess, chose Coldplay, reason being because I lost my virginity to their music. Haha.
Yeah,
That's a good reason.
that's a great reason.
Sam Slick chose, boring he said, "Boring answer, The Strokes. Tough to say who influences today from that time." Uh, John Estrada said, "The White Stripes." His reason was, "The White Stripes, hands down. Love 'em or hate 'em, they did more than any other band around them with less. Take a listen to their singles that everyone loves. They don't really sound like the same song again and again. Uh, like Foo Fighters, I said it." Uh, they can play the shit out of a live show, and only the low IQ music fan shits on Meg's drumming.
Mhm.
Jack is as close to a Renaissance man guitarist we have in the 20-ish years. There are other notables like Adam Jones from Tool. Close second is maybe Yeah Yeah Yeahs.
Hmm,
And
interesting.
the audience can't see, but I am wearing a Yeah Yeah Yeahs shirt
Yep,
too.
yep.
I agree, man. Like, Yeah Yeah Yeahs are not my pick, but I would say Yeah Yeah Yeahs are like, fuck, dude, such a strong, like, female fronted band. Very catchy songs, a lot of grit on them, and just like just fun. Like, I don't know. I would think they're very empowering too. Like a female fronted singer that just kicks ass, you know.
Yeah,
But
certainly. I mean, Karen O is incredible.
yeah. Um, did you want to add anything else?
Yeah, I think, uh, about the White Stripes answer, that is 100% correct that they did so much with so little. Yeah, looking at you Foo Fighters who have 3 guitarists. I've never understood bands that have 3 guitarists, honestly. That's just a personal thing for me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the White Stripes are incredible. Um, and when it comes to the Strokes, I do agree with everyone's point about that, especially the point that's the boring answer of the Strokes because I in my opinion, the reason why it's the boring answer is it's because it's the correct answer of like they are the most influential band because, everyone really does just sound like them nowadays, or is highly influenced by them, at least in like the indie rock field.
Mhm.
Um, Though, like, my personal answer, I kind of go back and forth with them and another band, which I'll talk about in a sec,
Yeah.
but definitely The Strokes, I think, really shaped the way that a lot of, uh, I guess, for lack of term, kids, decided to, uh, start a band and make it sound like The Strokes because that's just what they wanted to sound like, and I'm glad that they at least kind of made that footprint of, like, it was cool to start a band, um, at that time again, like that.
You know, what's funny too is like the Strokes are. Everyone kind of gives a lot of shit to the Strokes. Even like just saying that they're kind of trust fund kids who
Mhm.
got big. But at the same time, it's kind of like you still have to be good. You
Yeah.
still have to, right? Like there are so many people that are like, I remember like I went to go see this band in LA a few years back, right? They
Mhm,
look so polished. They look like a band that would make it. Like
mhm,
just because they look like good looking dudes, the way they dress look really cool, everything. And they're in LA and all these people were like that were like industry people were at that show, right?
mhm.
And I just remember thinking like, wow, this band's probably gonna make it. And they're okay. I wouldn't say I gave a shit about their music really, but I haven't heard of that band since.
Yeah, yeah, even with, Vampire Weekend, a lot of people shit on them because they were just like an Ivy League band. They were just from, I think, Harvard or something like that.
Yeah.
Just Harvard students, and they just wanted to make a band, and then everyone was like, "What the hell are the rich kids doing just trying to make indie music?" But, hey, they're great at what they did, and they fused a
Yeah.
lot of really cool genres together to make, like, really incredible and different sounding music. I think that's the main thing is that, um, they just had such a very distinct identity, Vampire Weekend,
Yeah.
but also going back to the Strokes, they also had a very distinct identity and sound during that time.
Yeah, they're kinda like bratty dudes who are kinda like, "Who gives a shit? We're gonna say what we wanna say," kinda thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I do remember also an old friend of mine had said that there was an interview where the bassist had admitted that his bass lines were just a ripoff of Cure songs,
Oh,
and I feel like I did find that interview one time, but, I cannot remember for the life of me if it's actually 100% factual or not, but, like, I definitely could see that because if you ever hear the bass lines of Stroke songs, they definitely have that movement of, like, early Cure songs too, especially.
yeah, and I think the band that people are, like, talking I mean, it's a band I talked to you about before, Geese, is
Mhm,
also one of those bands where they're rich kids or, like, kinda, like, somewhat rich kids who are, like, they're like, "Oh, trust fund kids."
mhm.
But it's again, like, you have to have talent, you have to still be good, you know? There are a lot of rich kids who suck.
Right, yeah.
So, let's see, Tony Bartoloni says The White Stripes
Mhm,
as well. Reason, The White Stripes reduced everything down to 3 chords and 2 people. They were very prolific, especially compared to other bands of the time. Sonically, they claimed it. Jack White is still producing and collaborating and prolific as ever, so he's hands-on influential. They brought it back to the blues and blew it up. Feels like music was getting more complicated and they provided the reduction needed to get back to rock and roll. They were punk without being a punk band, blues without being irrelevant. Oof. Country without being obnoxious. Oof. They were straightforward, drums, guitar, go.
yeah, and while I don't fully agree, I guess, in the sense that, like, they are the most influential band of the early 2000s. I do think that they are definitely top 3, if not top 5,
Yeah.
most important bands of the early 2000s, and I think Jack White especially is just, like, such a force to be reckoned with because like, dude has a massive discography at this point as a musician, and also as a producer, um but also just a fact that I wanted to share too is that Jack White never stops being innovative and never stops being afraid of just trying new things, especially with like older mentality. Um,
Mhm.
because like, I think about his album Boarding House Reach, which I don't know if you've heard that album, but it's his third solo album.
Okay.
And that one was interesting because his first 2 albums were recorded just how he wanted as like, analog, this is me just doing my blues, folk, garage rock thing. But with Boarding House Reach, that was his first time actually working with Pro Tools, as like a digital way of recording, and he had no idea how to like really work with it, um, or like, work with it in the sense of like as a artist, but yet he generated a lot of really great, fun things that you just would not have expected from him. And a lot of people really hated that album, but also a lot of people really loved it. I'm in the camp that loves it, and I think that it's great that an artist like Jack White can still be innovative and trying new things, even though it's been old technology now for like 20 years.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the misconception and going into like the idea of the creative people, right, is
Mhm.
that you have it if you seem to have it down, you don't have anything to learn, right? You just kind of like, I already got this, I'm good. But like the creative people I've talked to, it's like you constantly learn. You're constantly learning for the rest of your life and like evolving. And I think that's kind of cool. Like it's comforting, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's see. Lena, she chose 311. Reason is 311 because it trends every summer without miss. I
Oh.
totally agree. What's funny is I used to send a text to my old bandmates, and every time it was 311, like 3, I guess o'clock. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
311, I would send them a text that said chill,
Nice.
like chill.
That's funny.
And then like a little GIF or GIF, whatever, of like the bassist playing a song or something from 311.
Yeah, yeah, that's sick.
And then let's see. So Kevin, my brother's friend, said Damn, that's tough. Corn, Linkin Park, Disturb, 3 Days Grace, and System of a Down. So many, bro.
Yeah, I mean, again, genre specific wise, it is a very genre specific question. A lot of those bands definitely shaped how metal, especially, is or had taken off in the mainstream, and how a lot of younger kids wanted to like really push into that sound of just um, heavier tones and like just getting whatever I'm forgetting the word, but like, adolescence, get it out because it just really
Yeah,
evoked that feeling, you know. Same thing, I guess, even with like Limp Bizkit, like who is a predecessor of like the 2000s, but still definitely, um, was big innovator with just like getting into that angry part of kids' adolescence and just get it out. Angst. That was the word I'm looking
there
for.
you go.
Angst. Yeah.
No, that's true, and you know, it might like, some of these bands not may not be my bands that I'm fully into,
Mhm.
but at the same time, it's undeniable, like Korn, Linkin Park, Disturbed, System of a Down, like, those bands definitely formed and, like, kind of, like, created a path for a lot of bands that are probably coming out now, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do like System of a Down and Linkin Park for sure. Let's go into your answer.
Yeah, so definitely the band that made me think of this answer was the Strokes. Like I was saying, for all the reasons, just a lot of kids nowadays, whenever they want to start like a rock band and they want to go into the indie direction, they are definitely the North Star when it comes to like the sound and like the rhythm and all these things, even the chord shapes. Like I think that's also interesting.
Yeah,
But I even went a step further, and I think Interpol is actually a great answer for this question. Um, Maybe again, genre specific. It's just kind of like the bands that I personally have been playing with for however long. Every band that I've pretty much been a part of has had a strong influence with Interpol, especially when it's more darker related music like shoegaze or post punk. Like the first band is always Interpol, if not Joy Division, and they are definitely the North Star because like the Strokes, they had a very unique sound, a very unique look, but also the chord shapes, the bass lines, especially
mhm,
great drum playing, just everything was very dominating of what shapes darker alternative music today, with, shoegaze or just like, you know, alternative, country tinge like alternative music, I guess, like the band
like
Wednesday, for example.
or like Wilco or something like that?
Yeah, even Wilco. I definitely think that like just Interpol helped shape a lot of like the darker tones of rock music being okay with mainstream rock, I guess.
Okay.
Mhm,
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I remember, like, this one guy, he was, like, a friend of a friend, and he wanted to start a band, and he was like, "Yeah, come over, we'll kinda talk. We'll talk about it, and then, if you're interested, we'll continue this, being in a band. We'll be in a
mhm,
band." And I went over and I was like, "Cool," and he was like, "I have a few songs. I'll show you the songs," and they were straight up The Strokes.
mhm.
Like, his voice was very much that kinda crooner voice, and I was just like, "Holy shit," like, I don't wanna be The Strokes,
Right.
like, a little bit of, influence, that's cool, but, like, you have a Julian Casablancas voice, this is so
Mhm.
so weird.
Yeah, and I think that's also like the fun thing too about a band like Interpol is that like it is very hard to sound like them without fully ripping them off, whereas
Yeah.
like I think it's generally pretty easy to sound like the Strokes, but it's hard to sound like Interpol, I guess.
Yeah, it's very distinct.
But yeah, it's still a very um prevalent sound in a lot of these like more shoegaze bands that I'm thinking about in the local music scene that I'm at least a part of.
I feel like Joy Division had an influence on Interpol for sure too, like
Yeah.
vocally.
Yeah,
That
and
street light, like you know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
that's only like one song, but like I feel like every person I've talked to, like that I became friends with, even my wife too, they love Interpol,
Mhm.
and I could totally see it being like a huge influence on a lot of bands too going forward.
Yeah, and even with that, just I think Interpol being a very, universally liked band like The Strokes, it kind of it kind of is like just 2000s New York music scene all over again because, like,
Yeah,
The Strokes, they were becoming really popular at the time, but yet, Interpol was just starting out and no one was really there, but then when they actually started to blow up, it's like, "Oh, wow." Like, if you weren't really into The Strokes, you could be into Interpol.
yeah,
So it's kinda the same with, like, bands now where it's like, well, if you don't wanna be like The Strokes, you could pretty much be Interpol.
yeah, or even around that time, right? It wasn't like a LCD sound system.
Yeah, yeah, LCD
Uh,
Sound System.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, it's the same like scene too as well.
Exactly, yeah, and, the Meet Me in the Bathroom documentary, that is an incredible
Yes,
documentary talking about all that too.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
good documentary.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see, did you want to add anything else on that?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Just two amazing bands, The Strokes and Interpol. Check them out if you haven't, because they are the reason why rock sounds like how it does right now. At least like
Yeah,
indie rock specifically. I think like the other subgenres of rock, like closer to like Foo Fighters, are definitely not influenced to The Strokes or Interpol, but
yeah,
something else.
yep. And so, my choice is a band that I would say is another band that people would say, "Oh, I want my band to sound similar to this." And when I would play music, when our music would go anywhere close to this band, it would be a positive thing for us because
Mm,
I'd be like, "Oh, cool. I didn't expect that, but fuck yeah," you know?
mhm.
And my choice is Radiohead.
Interesting. Okay.
Uh, so they were a band that was around before the 2000s, with, Pablo Honey and I think the Bends.
And also OK Computer.
Yes.
Yes, I
So
yes. Mm,
OK Computer came out in 1999,
mhm,
going so kinda like just before the 2000s, which I think had a huge effect moving forward in the 2000s.
mm,
Then you had, Kid A, which is fucking phenomenal, in 2000, released in
mhm.
2000. Then you had Amnesiac in 2001, Hail to the Thief 2003, notably In Rainbows in 2007, which fucking huge.
Started Bandcamp, basically.
Oh my god. So what's crazy, I'm not so when In Rainbows came out, it was pretty nuts because I remember they were saying they initially put it out and they said, "Just pay whatever you want for it
Mhm.
or pay nothing."
Yeah.
You could hear it for free, all of it.
Mhm,
And that was so insane. I think one of my friends just, like, burned it on a CD for me and just he's like, "Here you go."
mhm.
And I
Yep.
I had that album in my car for, like for months just
Mhm,
on 1 because I was kinda lazy to change the disc, but 2 just because it was so good. Like,
mhm.
In Rainbows is probably one of my favorite albums in general by them.
Yeah.
Then King of Limbs in 2011, and then Moonshape Pool in 2016.
Mhm,
The members are Tom York, vocals and guitar, Johnny Greenwood, guitar and keyboards, Ed O'Brien on guitar and backing vocals, Colin Greenwood on bass, and then Phil Selway on drums. Um, I looked this up, and Google does say that the bands that they inspired are Muse, Coldplay, Travis, Block Party, Alt J, Grizzly Bear, the XX, the National, Geese, the M83, Placebo, Deaf Heaven, Billie Eilish, and Tori Amos.
mhm.
Um, 100%. Some of those bands you hear it more. More. It's more of a dominant sound than others.
Yeah.
Um, like for sure, Grizzly Bear. I feel Grizzly Bear is like. I wouldn't say it's a ripoff, but there's a lot there.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And even just like the other individual members of the band too, like Panda Bear,
Hmm.
I just started just barely getting into Panda Bear and like even a little bit more Grizzly Bear stuff.
Yeah.
And Panda Bear's recent solo album was definitely like within that, like I guess you could say to the Beatles and roll or Beatles and Radiohead sound that like
Okay.
definitely like you could tell those influences are there within his own style too.
For sure. But yeah, definitely Coldplay. I think I heard a interview the other day, and it was talking about how Muse is a very like I think it's a little bit more of a like a poppy version of Radiohead.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, like I didn't initially kind of catch it until I really listened.
Hmm.
But let's see. I don't although I don't really think like Block Party, I don't really hear a lot of Radiohead in there, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess not. I guess, yeah, probably not for me either.
Yeah.
Um, but and Radiohead is definitely a fantastic band. Um, that's definitely a interesting band to also bring up too in this question because it reminds me of this one time that like my friend was telling me about this kind of stupid quote from Gene Simmons from Kiss, where I think Gene Simmons had said that like no no good, or what was it? There have been no good rock bands after 1985, I think is what he
What?
said. Yeah. And like or 19 I think it was 85 is what it was. Like there are no good bands that started after 85 or like 88. It was like a specific year.
Yeah.
Um and I remember like looking it up to try to like disprove it. And I think it was Radiohead that like started in like 88 or something like that. And I think maybe that was the year because like it was just on the cusp of when he's saying that there have been no good bands after that.
Yeah.
Um but, like, of course, like, Radiohead is just, like, phenomenal, just by all these different records that they've been making throughout the entire time that they've been as a band, and just, shaping a lot of how music is consumed nowadays too, I guess, with, In Rainbows, like, its business model that they did, and, um, I don't know, just fantastic music. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah. And being on and it also like they kind of put themselves out there. Like I think they're on like the Twilight soundtrack.
Really? Okay, I did
Same
not
with
know that.
Same with Grizzly Bear too.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Had no idea. All I know is Paramore's on there, and yeah,
Oh,
that's
there
a
you go.
great song to code.
That is a good song. Yeah, and it's like I'd say my favorite songs from Radiohead are Everything in Its Right Place, Exit Music for a Film, No Surprises, Karma Police, Optimistic, and Idiotech.
Yeah, all fantastic songs for sure. I think off the top of my head, if I were to chip in
Yeah.
on that question, um, it would have to be, uh, Karma Police, also Exit Music for Film. Um,
Oh, also any all of In Rainbows for me too as well. Sorry.
yeah, 15 Step, um what's the song? Daydreaming and True Love Waits, I think is what it's called, off of, Moonshaped Pool, um, and Everything in Its Right Place. I mean, you could see a lot
Yeah,
of the similarities that you and I have with these songs too.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I love all those songs, and Fake Plastic Trees. There's too many to name.
For sure. I think like that song Everything in Its Right Place, like that song feels like almost like a weird awakening into like the
Mhm.
future. You're like I don't know, like it's such a mood. You know, that song is such a mood where you're like doo 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 doo, and it's like
Yeah.
a new landscape of the future in some way. Like I think it was on Westworld.
Mm,
And when I think the later seasons, and I was just, like, thinking when that song came on, I was like, "Fuck, dude, this is such a perfect scene.
mhm,
This is such a perfect feel to this whole scene, it's amazing." And,
mhm.
like, that song is such a huge part of it. But yeah.
Yeah, and, like, even, I don't know if you've ever seen a uh, Kid A CD. But like the CD design of it or the booklet of it is
Uh-huh.
very interesting because like, it is a super futuristic sounding album, and I think they perfectly matched it with the artwork, but also the artwork when you like take apart the CD, it like has hidden artwork within like the jewel case and stuff
Oh,
like
wow.
that. And it's all like kind of creepy too, but also kind of futuristic. So it's definitely a very
Yeah.
interesting way to kind of just visually represent the album.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, like they're like they're such a thoughtful band for sure.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of intention with what they do as artists.
Yeah.
And even Johnny Greenwood as a composer, like he's also done like really incredible stuff. Just like tonally too with what he's done with Radiohead, it can kind of transfer over to what he's done for scores too.
Hmm. So, yeah, and then so that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Do you have anything else to add?
I have this one artist that I think you should check out actually, Kira Lease. I'll definitely send her your way, like her music, but like
Yeah.
I was just listening to her most recent music the other day, and it was definitely like highly inspired by Radiohead because that's one of her favorite bands. And, I think the way that she's doing it is kind of really awesome to see just how she's also, I guess, tying back to the question, being very influenced by Radiohead, but
Cool.
also even a band like the Beatles too. Uh, and even like the comparisons between the two are very cool just to see how she lays them out in her music. And again, just tying it how some songs like, Karma Police and the song Sexy Sadie by the Beatles sound the
Yeah.
same too. There's a very
Huh.
distinct line that ties the two together.
I gotta listen to that. That's
It's
crazy.
it's
Yeah,
uncanny.
that's insane. Yeah, I never noticed that before.
Mhm.
So let's see. So yeah, that has been our episode. Thank you for joining me, David. Do you have anything that you would like to plug?
Um, I mean, I just recently started my new record label, Dagger Creative, back in December, and we just actually released our second release yesterday, a song called "Blood" by one of my bands, Glitter Ghost, and it's an incredible song. I'm super stoked with how it came out, and I just hope more people listen to it. So, yeah, I hope people listen to that and check out all the artists I'm trying to help out with my record label.
Is there like a place where you want people to follow you to kind of like get that information?
Yeah, as of right now, definitely just check out the Bandcamp, daggercreative.bandcamp.com. And the Instagram should just be dagger.creative. So, yeah, just keep up with it. Um, and hey, if anyone needs any sound help or advice, let me know too. Just my full name, David Antonio Garcia. I'm pretty easy to Google.
Heck yeah. So, thank you to our online community for your answers, also for subscribing and joining the IG page. Without you, this show would not be as fun as it is. You really make the show fun and engaging. I 100% feel that's the truth. Last thing, remember this connection we have with music and movies and art in general is such a gift. Love what you love and enjoy what you enjoy. If you like it, that is enough. Thanks for listening to Best Most. Take care and take care of each other. Bye bye.